Worn down by work and a failed relationship, a mentally, physically, and spiritually exhausted young man visits his Aunt Joni at her house in peaceful Hidden Valley Lake, California. Over several days and evenings, she takes him on a journey through their shared history. From slave-owning great-great-grandfather Burwell in the early 19th century to the philandering Junius, murderous Murphy, and alcoholic William, the tales Aunt Joni imparts to her young nephew never shy away from the hard truths of the family's acts and legacy. Along the way, she instructs her nephew in science, medicine, philosophy, and religion, and explains the importance of acknowledging and apologizing for the sins of one's ancestors. Part family history, part memoir, and part profound examination of how the past informs and influences our present. Torch Time Tales lays bare one woman's most intimate, invaluable possession, her spiritual estate. By the time I got going on my aunt's invitation, I was well more than legally an adult. My girlfriend had ditched me for someone else, leaving me an emotional mess. My older brother had suggested a trip to see Aunt Joni might be the therapeutic ticket I needed. "How do these tales begin?" I asked her that night shortly after my arrival. "They don't have a beginning," Aunt Joni answered pointedly. "And they don't have an end." "I don't get it," I replied, not understanding. "I don't either," she answered curiously, "and I don't know the whole story. I am just your torchbearer. However, I can tell you I'm ecstatic to see you right here and now." "What do you mean?" I pressed rudely. "What kind of story doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an end?" My aunt was giving me the hairy eyeball, and I began to get an uneasy feeling in the pit of my gut. It really had been a long day. I'd never been up so long with so little sleep. It hit me with full force that this summer with my aunt wasn't necessarily going to be a walk in the park. "So how do you start a tale that doesn't have a beginning?" I finally asked, when it became painfully clear she wasn't going to respond at all to my initial line of questioning. "That's a very good question," she answered excitedly. "Your father warned me you'd grown up to be a crackerjack. I'm delighted to see it. It'll make my job easier." "What job is that?" I asked skeptically, still shocked by her quick turnaround of a response. "Before the month is gone, I must pass you the torch." "No small task," my aunt replied, half to herself, staring into space. "If I drop it, I'll have failed myself, failed you, and possibly an infinite list of future generations." She added with a tone and expression that suggested she was serious or half in the bag. I wasn't sure which. To get there, we need to look back before we look forward, to recognize our sins, our ego-driven mistakes, our crimes against humanity, not only in our lives, but in the lifetimes of our ancestors. Our individual, familial, and institutional mistakes have caused harm and suffering through the generations. We can recognize, apologize, do penance, and practice justice accordingly. "I'll second that," I responded. "I pray with all of my being that these efforts will make that just noticeable difference toward healing everyone's mind, spirit, and body. So, here is what I have learned. Here is what I recognize. And herewith is my apology." For more information about this project, please visit torchtimetales.org. Thank you for listening.